so here we are at chapter 6. And chapter 6, the PowerPoint has 14 slides, okay? But because some of these slides really need examples to go with them, I am going to split the chapter 6 PowerPoint discussion into 3 different video chunks. So this is going to be chunk 1. So we can call this part A. Okay. And so that way they don't get too lengthy. So here we go. This is going to be about the first 6 slides of chapter 6. So let's get rolling. All right. So chapter 6 talks about deductions. Chapter 5 was all about income. Chapter 6 is about deductions. And this initial part is going to be all about deductions that are for AGI. Remember when we looked at how we come up to taxable income? We start with gross income, and then we have 4 AGI deductions, and then we get to our AGI, which remember is our adjusted gross income. Okay? So these 4 AGI deductions, okay, are really, really important to us. So in the world of deductions, these are the best type of deduction. And the reason is they lower your adjusted gross income. And you're going to see, or you have seen as you've read this chapter, that your adjusted gross income determines your ability to use other deductions. So these 4 AGI deductions are very important. Okay? We have 3 general categories of 4 AGI deductions. Okay? You have activities that are directly related to business. So if you're self-employed, your business expenses, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so if you run your own business, these are business expenses. All right, so I'm going to slide things over a little bit and write business expenses. Okay. And these business expenses are really the most common and the largest category of 4 AGI deductions. Okay. Then you have expenses that are indirectly related to business activities. So these could be rental, royalty type expenses. Okay. And then we have 4 AGI deductions that are designed to subsidize specific activities. Okay. And so one of the main categories here is certain education expenses. Interestingly, alimony, but we're going to put little asterisks by alimony because with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that goes away, but there's still alimony that is deductible for AGI. Okay? All right, so this is just a kind of a table that looks at your activity type and the deduction type for AGI, okay? And then what types of expenses are deductible from AGI, and then things that are not deductible at all, okay? So if we wanted to color code these, so our 4 AGI, self-employed business expenses, rent and royalty expenses, okay? from AGI expenses, all right, your investment interest expense can be deductible from AGI, okay? And then you've got this other whole category of expenses, but they are not deductible at all, okay? All right. So, deductions for AGI, all right? It's very important that that you pay particular attention to to differences between things that are deducted for AGI versus from AGI, okay? So, health insurance deduction by self-employed taxpayers. This for AGI deduction does not apply to all taxpayers. It only applies to self-employed taxpayers, okay? So self-employed taxpayers can deduct for AGI, okay, their insurance premiums that they pay, okay? Now, the reason for this benefit is that it provides some level of parity, okay, with employees, all right, who receive health insurance as a qualified fringe benefit from their employer, all right? It is very important to know that in order to qualify for the for AGI deduction of your health insurance premiums, you must not be eligible for employer-provided health insurance, okay? Either through a second job or through your spouse, okay? So that is very, very important. Additionally, self-employed persons get a for AGI deduction for the penalty for early withdrawal of savings, okay? So that's kind of a nice caveat for self-employed individuals. Okay, let's talk about self-employment taxes for a minute. All right, so when we talk about self-employment taxes, what are we talking about? We are talking about Social Security tax and Medicare, okay? Now, when you are employed by, like UMSL, for example, okay, UMSL, the employer, pays the employer's portion of Social Security tax, right, and Medicare, and then the employee pays their half, okay? Well, employers get to deduct their portion of Social Security taxes as a business expense. Okay, but what if you are self-employed? If you are self-employed, you do not have an employer. So if you are self-employed, you are required to pay Social Security taxes. Essentially, you pay both the employer and employee portions, because you're both, you're your employer and you're the employee, okay? So what happens then? Well, what happens then is self-employed people are then allowed to deduct the employer portion of the self-employment tax, okay, that they pay as a for AGI deduction, okay? And we'll do a big example of this in class on Monday. All right? And then the final thing that I want to discuss for part A of our Chapter 6 discussion is alimony, okay? And we've talked about these before, but alimony payments that are from a separation or divorce agreement before 2019 are deductible for AGI. After that point, they are not deductible for AGI. So it's very important to remember that this is a result of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act And so following 2019, they are no longer deductible, period. Okay. So let's stop here. This is the end of part A, and then there will be a part B and C coming as well.